Hi everyone, I'm Anya and I'm a perfectionist who created this podcast to get rid of perfectionism. If you are new here or if you found this episode first, I recommend to go back to episode 1 where you will find some intro or like more information about how it was like when I was young and actually the causes of my perfectionism. In our last episode, we talked about how my grandma was picking me up from school, how I had to be a good example for my younger brother, and in this episode, I'll continue from here. So, my grandma was accompanying me to school and back from school until I was in the third grade, and then my brother started to go to school as well. So we were walking together, and actually, I don't remember that my grandma would like take us to her house after that, like to write homework. So after I was in the third grade, we were always coming home, and my grandma was not doing our homework with us anymore. Once my brother started to go to school, we slowly found out that he has a dyslexia related disorder. And with this, it was normal that like he missed some letters sometimes or he was not writing as pretty as I was forced to before. So it kind of started to be normal that the handwriting is not perfect and stuff like that. And no one actually cared about my handwriting anymore. And even though my handwriting was not a topic anymore, I was still influenced by my grandma and everything. So even during my high school and university, I was constantly judging myself for not being able to keep the nice handwriting. And actually, I was mad that my handwriting changes with every pen I use. And this may sound a bit weird, but like really, if you give me 10 different pens, I'm gonna have 10 different handwritings based on like what pen I used. And I have a fun fact for you. I was recording the intro of Czech version like 3 times again because I was not prepared enough. So, during the first 5 years of my elementary school, when I was still attending school in the small town, like before entering a grammar school, my classmates slowly started to see a problem in me. Um, because like not only I was the only one who was wearing glasses from the whole class, but also I was one of the students who didn't really have to study at home and would still remember everything fast and get good grades. And I'd like to shortly explain the grading system in Czech Republic so you don't get confused if I accidentally forget to switch and I like switch back to Czech grading system. We have grades from 1 to 5, with 1 being the best and 5 being the worst. And I know that like the university ABC system is a bit different, but for explaining the situation better in English, I'm gonna use A for 1, B for 2, C for 3, and D for 4. Okay, so back to the story. Until fifth grade, I was basically having all A's, and then I managed to get 1B, but that was all. And I remember there were a few boys who would usually uh, follow me outside of the school, and then they would take my glasses away and they would let me just try to find a way home without my glasses. And I have to say that back then my vision was not as bad as it is now, but I didn't really see anything at the time without my glasses. And also, I didn't know the town really well because I was from another city and I was coming to the town just to school and then went back. So I didn't have any time to like walk outside and explore. So I was always lost. And other thing which they would do is that when we were about to cross the road, they would take my glasses away and just push me to the road. And usually there were some cars coming, and I was always super lucky that the cars managed to stop on time. And that's the reason why I'm still here because they were basically trying to kill me. And And like whenever I try to explain the situation to the teachers, sometimes teachers saw us. And then I try to explain like that they pushed me. I'm not the one who wanted to jump to the road. Uh, the teachers always believed the bullies and not me. My bullies always said that like I'm mentally broken, I'm running under the cars from my own will, and the school is actually kind of shitty, so they always believed my bullies and not me. Um, there are like more things which they were trying to do to me, but you probably can imagine. I'm not gonna talk about more things here, but you probably can imagine that I really hated that school, and being bullied is one of the reasons why I decided to change schools. I found one grammar school in the city which is close to my hometown, and I wanted to apply there because I saw it not only an, as a way to escape from the bullying, but also I saw it as a challenge because grammar schools are hard and I wanted to challenge myself and just do it. Once my classmates found out that I wanted to go to grammar school, I was not only getting the bullying, like the physically bullying when they tried to hurt me, but also the verbal one because I was constantly listening to stuff like, I'm stupid, I'm not smart enough, I can never get accepted to the school I chose because I just can't do it and I'm a total loser and stuff like that. At that time, the application process was quite difficult because now, whenever you want to apply, you just go and apply online, right? But before, my when I wanted to apply for the grammar school, my parents had to go to my current school and like take the paper application. So my dad went to get the application for me, and the teacher who was in charge of the applications just refused to give my dad the application for me. And she said something like that I'm not good enough, I'm not brave enough, and I would not survive in the grammar school, that I'm gonna just be so lost and stuff like that. My dad was arguing with her, with the teacher. In the end, he got my application, but it was a fight because she didn't want to give him the application even though she knew that I was suffering at the school. She was the one I went like to talk to about what the guys were doing to me. She didn't listen. She was like, "Oh, you're just lying. Don't be so stupid." And she didn't care at all. And because I'm a stubborn Taurus, and like this was actually first time I used the bullying as my fuel. I worked really hard to prove that I'm better than them and I can leave this shitty school. I worked hard, I was studying every day, and I got accepted, and they accepted 60 people and I got number 37. So it's not that bad. After my at that time current classmates heard news about me being accepted to the new school, they all just stopped talking to me, and my best friend of that time turned her back to me as well, and she actually joined the people who are bullying me. Later, when I was meeting her while attending the grammar school and she started to go to high school in the same city that I was going to, she explained herself to me and apologized that she was just sad and she didn't want me to leave her alone there because, except of me, nobody else was talking to her. So she was feeling like she'll be there left alone forever. And I was like, okay, whatever is the past, just let's not talk anymore. So we can stop talking and we are not in contact right now. Um, I started attending the grammar school in 2005. And because grammar school is much harder than my previous school was, and this was also one of the hardest grammar schools in Moravia, my grades kind of dropped, even though I was like doing my best and studying hard. I was usually getting a lot of B's, and sometimes I was at the risk of C, especially from maths, because I was never really good at it. I was stupid for maths. That's a long story, but I'm stupid for maths. And when I first got a C on my report card, I think it was the second or third year of the grammar school, my parents were not happy and they were telling me that if I don't study more, they will transfer me back to the shitty school where I was not happy and I basically ran away from there. And they said that they were going to transfer me even though they knew that I hated that and I was suffering there. And my parents always were emphasizing the ran away part because they just didn't know what was happening there. I just said like I don't like it there, but I didn't explain what was actually happening to me because I knew that if I explained that, my parents would go to school and then they would like the bullying will be worse. So, uh, as I was listening to my parents who like kept emphasizing the ran away part, um, it was kind of painful to hear that. And because they kept repeating that I ran away, and they kept repeating it for quite a long time, I got angry, I got fed up, and like after some time, I told them the real reason of me leaving the school. Of course, they were like, "Why you didn't tell us earlier?" And then I explained that if I did, it would be worse and stuff like that. And then after that, it was fine, and my parents finally understood that I got a reason for leaving. Um, when I went through the 4 years of grammar school and I was officially in the high school part, my parents stopped saying that they would put me back because there was no chance to do it anymore. But the pressure to have better grades was still there. And I remember one time when I got like 5 C's on my report card because, as I mentioned, I was not really good in maths and also I was struggling in chemistry, biology, and just other natural sciences because usually I'm better in like languages and I didn't really get these natural sciences at all. I was told that my parents should have transferred me back when there was still time and that I'm dumb. And I was actually grounded at the time for having 5 C's on my report card. Um, this was not very comfortable and it kept me thinking that I needed to be more perfect. I still needed to be better. I was not good enough. I was having zero confidence and of course like I was trying to improve, I was trying to find my confidence but I didn't know how, and with this perfectionism in my head it was impossible to get more confident. um, and then in one of my final years I got like pretty good grades. There were no C's on my report and actually not even many B's, but I didn't get honors because I got more B's than I was supposed to have. And in Czech Republic, if it doesn't change, if it didn't change, it's still the same. To get honors on your report card, you have to have like maximum of 4 B's and the rest have to be A's. So I got like 5 or 6 B's, so I missed that. And I was so happy that like yeah, I have no C. It's better, even though the studies in one of my last years were really difficult, but still I somehow managed to get no C. And then I came home and instead of hearing like that I was good that I didn't get any C, I heard something like, where are the honors? You were supposed to get the honors, you're not good enough. So yep, I will mention something that I mentioned already in the first episode. I know that my parents wanted the best for me. They wanted me to have like better education and better job opportunities so I don't suffer and I have better life than they had to. But this kind of supported my head in being a crazy bitch and like this kind of supported me to keeping to want to be perfect. I don't know if this makes sense, but yeah. My head just wanted me to be perfect, and this supported it. For my graduation exam, I had to choose my subjects really carefully. And in Czech Republic, graduation has two parts. One is like a state part, which is same for everyone in the country. Of course, like you can choose some subjects in this part, but you can be sure that you get the same version as everyone else in the country who is also graduating. And then there's a school part, which is different depending on the school which you study. For my graduation, I got Czech language as first obligatory subject, and then I could choose maths or English. And basically, I had to choose maths because if you choose one subject, you can't repeat it in the other part of the exam. Now you probably can, but when I was graduating, it was impossible. So I had to choose maths. So my subjects were Czech and maths in the state part, and English and French in school part. And if I chose English in the state part, I would have to get social sciences for a school part. And like, don't get me wrong, I loved social sciences, but I was just unable to learn all of that. As I'm mentioning during this whole podcast, I was kind of struggling in maths, so my graduation report was three A's from Czech, English, and French, and a D from maths. Actually, I was supposed to get a C, but my test was corrected by a machine, and like they didn't recognize some of the results, which were actually correct. Everybody was telling me that like nobody really looks at the grades of a graduation certificate. Most important thing is that you have it. But when I was enrolling the university, officially, like there's a given time and date when you come and like to officially enroll, and they want to see your certificate. And when I came there, everybody was judging me for having a D from maths, even though like people were telling me nobody would judge me. Okay, this was the second part of like my elementary school and then my whole grammar school. In the next episode, we will look at the start of my university, and later in the podcast, we will also look to China, where I was studying for 1 year. And this is basically like the end of the episode. And probably it doesn't make any sense because I was not prepared for a Czech episode, and then I was translating the Czech episode to English version, and here we are now. But it is what it is. Thank you, everyone who listens to this podcast and who still didn't get crazy from listening to me. And I also have info about when the episodes will be uploaded. Czech episodes will be uploaded every Wednesday. English episodes will be uploaded every Thursday. If you are a Czech speaker listening to English version, you can also check my Czech version episodes, but they are probably way more messy than the English ones. And it's because I feel comfortable in English more. So every time I try to like speak Czech and explain something, I'm translating the things in my head because sometimes I would just put the English, but if I'm making Czech episode, I don't want to put random English words there. So I'm always trying to translate that in my head, and then it ends up being a total mess. Uh, okay, so this is the end. See you next week, and don't try to be perfect because you are good enough the way you are. Bye bye.